Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Knitted Art History, where I'm sitting telling you some art history stories while knitting. And welcome to another video. And today I will not be knitting because I started another thing, but I need to count everything, so you need to be very focused on that. So yes, and plus today's theme will be also kind of I need to be focused on the material that I will be telling you today. So yes, so today I'll be just sitting, just telling you some stories. So as you could already see by the name of the video, today we are gonna be talking about another one of the most maybe famous artists in art history overall, Hieronymus Bosch. I decided to make my own little contribution to this topic on YouTube, even though there is plenty of video on different languages, like whatever you like. A lot of this video are speculating on, a lot of things. Let's dive in straight in our topic without bragging and mumbling, and yeah, so let's start our video. He's considered to be one of the most mysterious and unconventional personalities, character in art history, in art world. But you see, there is so many speculation around him that is very stupid and unpleasant sometimes. So there is like a lot of material on him, a lot of videos I said on YouTube already have been done about him, and a lot of them are speculating a lot on his figure and his character. Obviously, I do agree that he has a very strange, not typical paintings, but everything not so mysterious as a lot of people and art historians also are like to show. And a lot of researchers, or I don't know how to call these people, they're speculating too much on some things that we cannot prove. So the attitude obviously toward this artist was throughout the years, throughout the centuries actually, was changing all the time. During his lifetime, he was a well-known artist, he was respected artist. His works were he had customers and all of the stuff, so he had a name during his lifetime. Then he was forgot for quite a bit of time. Then he was reopened again, and obviously, the biggest fame came to him during the 20th century, obviously, as for a lot of artists from this period of time. So we're talking about 1500s, so it's like 16th century. And obviously during this period of time of 20th century, a lot of speculation started about him. But I will show you that not everything is so mysterious as it was. So I will quote one of the resources that I was using. This is not an English book, one of the authors said that his works were interpreted in connection with alchemy and the science of the elements of nature. In connection with astrology, the fantastic images of the artist were explained by a sick psyche, narcotic hallucinations. So, and this is, I think, a lot of people still who are not in art history, they still have this stigma around Bosch that he was some kind of madman that was having a really strange fantasies, most probably because he was doing some drugs or something like that, which is completely not true. And I will show you. Another thing also that started, bragging about a lot already, because I have a lot of things to say about him, even though I'm not super deep into the topic. I was just back in university, I was preparing my paper on him, and so I read like few resources about him, few books about him, and I haven't met any type of information that he was really doing something like that he was madman. What I wanted to add is that another thing that is being speculated about him is that he was in some cults, because there was the period of time where this religion revolution started, right, and the religion world was shaken a bit also, and there was a lot of, in modern words, cults, but we don't have any confirmation that was the thing, that he was in any of them. We just know that he was a very clever very smart man who was familiar with a lot of contemporary texts, orthodox texts. Today I decided, well, I will not, stop on like all of his art. Today we're going to be talking just about two of his pieces, maybe like the most famous pieces. Well, one of them definitely is maybe like the first word that is getting to your mind when you're hearing the name BOSCH. So I decided that I will be focusing today just purely on these two works. Well, I'm not gonna be telling you his biography or like whatever. There is plenty of information on his biography, but well, yeah. Today we're gonna be talking like the works of artists are divided obviously as a lot of other artists by periods, and today we're going to be talking about two works that belongs to his mature period, as it's called, and one of them is the Garden of Earthly Delight, and the second one is the Hiven Triptych. Let's dive in. Let me show you how smart actually this man was, and not a madman that a lot of different people are trying to portray him. Because I mean, at one point you see, I do get why it's like that, because we have this very strange urge to, and not urge, very strange fascination towards something unknown, something mystical. And I mean, I'm not bashing anyone, because I am myself also like this. I really like to watch all this like ghost hunting video and stuff, even though I don't really believe in ghosts and all of this. So I always like to watch all of these programs about mediums, and all of this stuff. And even though, again, I don't believe in them, I don't believe that there's people like that. I mean, I do believe that there's some people that are feeling everything a little bit stronger than anyone else, but I don't really believe that there's people who can see the future, or who can just watch it, some people, and read the whole life just by watching it them the first time. So yeah, but overall I'm very also it's entertaining. Let's face it, it's really entertaining, and I well I like to watch these things on my own, and this is the thing that is getting sold pretty good. So again, I'm not surprised that a lot of people are speculating on BOSCH and trying to show him as this mysterious alchemist that was doing drugs, that was completely mad, and because people are buying this. And well, is it a good thing? No, but I'm stopping on bragging and mumbling about this theme, and let's dive in straight into our first painting that I will be telling you about today. Is the work The Garden of Earthly Delight. So I have it here in front of me, obviously. And well, the thing is, there is some problems with BOSCH in terms of dating. So this painting, this work also has this type of problems, because the triptych is stylistically kind of different to his works, and the dendrochronological analysis. So this is the analysis of the wood, because it was made on a wooden panel with oil. It was still a period of time. I mean, there were still, like, Canva was not the most popular material, not most popular thing to use as we have it now. So they first artist was using mostly wood panels, and this is also in his case the same. And Jan van Eyck also was completely the same. He was painting on wooden boards, wooden panels, and so they made the analysis of the wood, and also it was not super helpful. They just determined that the work was created at least starting from 1479, so not prior. But then some of researchers started to analyze the iconography and just overall what was shown on this painting, and they found out that some of the details are based on the work of so there was this guy, but there was the popular work back then in his time, World Chronicles, author Hartmann Schadel. And that was an illustrated book that was published in Nuremberg in 1493. So some of the details, so they figure out. So for example, on the first there was the triptych that altar pieces, that you could open it and you can close it. So this external pieces, external sashes of this triptych shows us the creation of the world, as we can see. But in terms of this book, what I'm mentioning is that we can see in one of the, what is this, left up corner, we can see the figure of God the Father, and you can also see some text written there, and this is the thing that were associated with the first page of this book, World Chronicles. Same thing also, the same details that was found is that BOSCH, he showed in the Garden of Eden some, it's called Dracena, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it in English manner, how it would be correct in English, but this is basically the type of a palm tree. Also there is some fruit tree with some red fruits, and it was also depicted, this thing also was described in Shadow's book. And so, well, by this, they concluded, the researchers concluded that this work, the Garden of Earthly Delights, was made, couldn't have been done, couldn't have been painted before 1494. You see, what is the thing? This work was also, it was kind of, I think this is one of the reasons why this work was so, I had so much speculation about it, now especially in our period of time, because contemporaries of BOSCH, they didn't really understand what the work meant and what all of this was. This work was first mentioned in the collection of the Prior of the Order of St. James, Don Fernando. He was the illegitimate son of the Duke of Alba, and the Duke of Alba, like brief history, so the modern Belgium and the Netherlands, they were under the rule of Spain for quite a while, and Spanish government, like call it whatever you want, they were doing quite terrifying thing there, and that's why when the Netherlands, especially like modern Netherlands, they got rid of the Spanish rule, they were so, this is why the 17th century is the golden age of Netherlands paintings, because they finally fought for the freedom, they finally got free, and obviously people now wanted to show their beauty of their country, and that's why the landscape paintings were the most popular, and all of this still lifes also, they tried to show the richness and of their country and how they finally got to that point. So Duke Alba he was himself quite a cruel man actually, and Bruegel also, there is few works of his that we now believe that he was actually painted actually the cruelties of Duke Alba in some of the villages that he made, and also actually Duke Alba. So I think a lot of you know this woman, Spanish woman. I think she passed away already. I don't think that it's super correct, to describe her as I will, but unfortunately, this is what we mostly remember her, who are not from Spain, who are not familiar with anything else about her. This lady with a lot of plastic surgeries, so I think she's a Duchess Alba, or whatever. This lady, she is descendant of this Alba that I'm talking about. So yes, so this work was in a collection of illegitimate son of this Duke Alba, and then we know that this work got to the king of Spain, the King Philip II. Again, it was not a very understandable work for his contemporaries, for Spanish people especially, and I actually think that this is maybe was the reason. So because BOSCH was using works that were more common for his territory, for Netherlands, Belgium part, and not so Spanish people were not really familiar, considering that how Spanish was always this super Catholic country. And we are talking about is, you know, some new works that were more on this mystical side, not completely religious. So well, so that's maybe why people that I will name now will not familiar with what is going on this work. So as I said, over the years, over the centuries, actually, this work was interpreted in different ways. So, for example, in 1517. Antonio de Beatis, he saw this work, and another thing also, that the name that we have now, it was not the original name, so this work was not named back then. And well, this Antonio de Beatis, he just described the work. He just described the plot of the painting, what was going on then, because he did not understand what was depicted here. The next thing also was in 1605, José de Sigüenza. So he sees the work as intrusive, and he said that we need to look in this work from the right to the left. So, you know, so the scenes that begin in the heaven, they covers all of our human world, and which lead us, all of us, to hell, which is actually, I think, a logical interpretation, but still, you know. Another interesting interpretation was done in 1947 by some researcher Franger, and well, you see here, I will not be able to explain you, like, I will not be able to elaborate, because I myself did not really understood, but he said that he considered the events on this painting in the reverse order. That is that we need to look at the painting from hell till heaven. But I really, you know, in one of the resources that I picked this information up in one of the books, I really was like, what? You cannot, you know, leave me here, like, I mean, I don't understand why. So yeah, this is also one thing that I really dislike about some of the researchers, some of the writers, that, you know, that they're pointing out some kind of fact or just thought, I don't know how to call it, right, and they're not elaborating on that, and they're just like, so there is, like, for example, there is like a lot of different things like depicted in this painting, and then they're moving on to the next painting, and you're sitting there and be like, what are those things that are a lot of different things? What are the things depicted? Like, come on, elaborate on that. So yeah, so this is completely the same thing. I won't be able to explain you, because I don't understand myself how is that, like, what is that. So when we are looking on the work, when it's closed, we can see that he showed well, basically this is the creation of the world. So this is the sphere, like our planet, and he showed that he made it in this Grisel technique that I was already explaining you, was already telling you in Van video, that this is when you are painting something using just grays or like different shades of gray, and a lot of artists were using this to paint some figures, you know, to make them look like there's statues and well, etc. And so here we have completely the same thing. He used the Grisel technique. This is the third day of creation. We can see that this sphere is already filled with light. The earth has started to separate from the water already, but there is still, you know, there is still no single life there going on. The only, like, alive creatures, we can call it like that, is the figure of God that I already mentioned in the left upper corner. Let's open up our work. So we also, for you, I forgot to mention, this is a very large work. So this is 2.20 m on 3.90 m. So a pretty spectacular work, as we can see, in terms of the sizes. Well, I mean, in terms of everything. The left wing represents Adam, paradise. Central place here is like belongs to the subject of creation of Eve, but also, as we can see, that you can see the little hole under their legs. And from these holes there's a lot of different creepy creatures are crawling, and this is the representation that with Eve the sin also started to flourish on Earth, started to spread in world. We can say, this he gave this more negative, well, as usually Eve is a negative character, and he put the tree life behind Adam. Obviously, in the central part of this painting, we can see a very strange lake with this strange like something, right? This is as it said, it's like a fountain of life. There's like another different creatures and etc. But in this little window in this fountain, we can see the owl that is sitting and like garden or whatever, but owls were considered actually to be more like a negative characters, so a very interesting thing. Also interesting thing here is that BOSCH didn't show the subject of fall, which is pretty unusual actually for this type of works, but well, BOSCH is an unusual character, so nothing new. Then the central piece, I think like you at least saw the central piece like at least one time in your life. So this chaotic thing is going on, completely like messed up, and when you're looking at this, you cannot you cannot wrap around your head what is going on here. So and in all of this thing raise more question even than the previous part. Often this piece, this plot is interpreted as a depiction of humanity immersed in carnal sin. Already mentioned Fra José de Sigüenza, that was examining this work in 1605. He said like his ideas was that this is the BOSCH tried to show how people forgot about about the beauty of the lost paradise, and they just throw themselves into this carnal sin, and again without thinking what is waiting for them in afterlife, which is actually, I think, kind of a interesting interpretation. In the center of this composition, right, we can see this like little lake. Around the lake, we can see women that bath with ravens on their heads, and around them there is the squad of passions is like jumping, running, like losing their minds. And here you can spot on a lot of different things. For example, we can see some peacocks, which are in this, like here it's very, have completely different meanings, because peacock, as we know, is a symbol of Jesus, which is started from the Roman catacombs, so it was used back then as a some secret, because Christianity was not a thing back then. And but here peacock does not mean the symbol of Jesus. Here is the personification of vanity. Then we can see some ibises, and they are they're considered to be the personification of past joys. We can see various animals like some lions, goats, donkeys, etc., and all of them represent different things. Then in the depths, like on our third plan, is another like bigger island with this, not island, lake, with this strange structures, strange spheres, and these different structures, they are combining in itself some plant and mineral forms. All of this is to be considered like this is some kind of hint on alchemy. Also, we can see here some male and female emblems, and another alchemical principles, like half moon, for example, like cones, horns, and etc. Another version of the interpretation of this satch, of this part, is again based on the interpretation of Fra José de Sigüenza, who said about BOSCH that he was the only artist who was not afraid to show a person from the inside, so our inside thoughts and our inside emotions, and thus it is possible that this image shows actually our inner state as a people, and our dreams, our ideas, and etc. etc. So BOSCH did not show actually the earthly pleasure, but only the idea of this bliss. And in addition, you know what can actually support this idea, this is our imagination and this is how we would like to be, is that he is using a very bright colors. Look at all of the people here, they are depicted in our prime, right? And we're young, beautiful, like strong, healthy. Also, you know, we can add that this is you know, all the events that take place in this image are just the vision and the imagination of different people about bliss, which, for example, some of them, you know, see this like, you know, in the state of rest, so they want to be like calm or alone. Someone see it in like being surrounded by people. Someone needs more movement, running, jumping, hunting, and etc. etc. Also, I would add some quote here. BOSCH shows that your actions are determined by your ideas. Whether you will taste eternal bliss depend on which of the dreamers depicted here you identify yourself with. I think this is like the most logical interpretation of this, actually, of this piece, of this part, is that it's really just our internal vision and how well a lot of us would like to live, would like this world to be. The next thing, the last part of this piece is hell. And well, I think hell also is a very like popular thing, just this subject, and there's a lot of creepy things showed here. Well, this win is believed to be based on there were another work, popular work, but then in his time, visions of Tungdal. Why it is believed that this work is the prototype of the hell, of BOSCH hell, is because BOSCH showed hell in the form of a kingdom of ice and fire. And another thing also is that from the same vision, this book, he depicted the image of blue Satan in form of the bird that is eating sinners. We can see him. The group around this bird Satan is interpreted as vanity. Then we can see like another scene that it was a table that has fallen. This is BOSCH tried to show the scene anger. Then if we can see some person eaten by a dog, so this is the envy, and well, etc. etc. In the lower right corner also we can see another very interesting thing, very like controversial subject, as we can say. We can see the pig in the nun robe that forced the sinner to sign a pact with the devil. The interesting thing also is that all of the instruments used there is they are also they became the objects of abuse in hell for lust. And at the back plan we can see this like type of city and the night and like this. This is actually the thing that we can say BOSCH invented. So he was the first one to depict hell as you know, as a city on fire, and we would see in another work the same thing. But overall overall, I mean, obviously if you're not into that, if you're just like get into the work, you have no idea who is this, what is that, you can have some strange different things that the person who made this was kind of mad, but well, I think, but as you can see, there is quite a bit of things that are actually depicted from the contemporary to BOSCH text. So it was not completely his vision, he just, you know, interpreted it his way. And overall, actually, you know, I will add that I think you will agree with me that it is it's a very like modern, contemporary to us work, and I think there is a lot of artists that are doing like, not the same, obviously, because I think, you know, you cannot actually beat BOSCH in this type of thing, but well, at least, you know, in the same manner are doing their artworks. So yeah, so very, very contemporary thing. So we can say he was very ahead of his time So another work that I wanted to show you and well, describe you is the Hiven Triptych, another I think like popular work, the second after the Garden of Earthly Delights, and well, this work is known in two almost identical versions, and both belong to King Philip II. Also some problems with dating, but dendrochronological analysis showed that the work was written most likely after the year 1512. This work was done when artist already had a name, so he was already kind of popular. It's done in the artist's style of the last years. Also they used infrared light, and they saw that there were some under drawing under the finished layer. It showed that they were made with different materials and in like several phases. Therefore it is likely that BOSCH he was not working on this work alone, so he had some, maybe his students were helping him or something like that. About the subject here, on the everyday sashes, the closed part, we can see a homeless traveler with this kind of like basket on his back. Because the researchers interpret this figure in different ways, starting from a peddler and ending with an allegory of old age. So as we can see, this traveler fends off a dog. In the background, then we can see this we can see few scenes. All of these scenes, all of this, they are interpreted, you know, as the choice that the world gives the man for his future life. So on the left we can see that some guy being robbed, and we can see that these robbers, they're killing their victim. On the right we can see two peasants that are dancing, men and women, and they're surrounded with this sheep, and we can see another guy that is playing for them. So, you know, more idyllic subject, more idyllic part. And on the horizon then like going into depths in the painting, we can see the crowd and the gallows, so another thing is going on. Then when we are opening up our this work, so we have the tell me and I tell you, heaven, we have heaven, we have earth, and we have hell. Here BOSCH he introduced us a novelty in the form of an allegory of hay. So all of this is seen as personification of good, which people could share among themselves, but instead doing this, they try to take the biggest pieces out of that for themselves, and thus they are only bringing some trouble and grief upon themselves. So what is here also? This allegory, you know, this story about the haystack and all of this were very popular actually back then in his time in the Netherlands, and that was a common thing that people knew, everyone knew. So for us, yes, it's not understandable already because, you know, we forgot about this, not a lot of people know that, but maybe people from the Netherlands, obviously they know, but all of us in other parts of the world, we really may not understand it because, well, this is not part of our culture, right? But back then it was a very popular thing, so I am pretty sure that, you know, his contemporaries, just even peasants and all this, they were looking at this and they were understanding what is going on, what is this about. So there were at the time, as I said, there was this famous Flemish proverb that sounded like the world is a haystack and everyone pulls as much as they can out of it. So this is basically the depiction of this proverb, this subject. So again, the story of this triptych begins with heaven, traditionally, and history here shown in these registers. So back like in Middle Ages, which, you know, probably all of you saw the Middle Ages works, where, you know, where everything is going on like in these registers, where basically like things going on like in comics. The subject starting from about and then it's starting to go like this, you know, and things are starting to go on, and we can basically see all of the plot on one part. So this is the same thing. We can see the deep down there in the depths of this composition. We can see the creation of Adam and Eve and this little God, and everything is fine. You can see that this sparkles, these angels or whatever is this, they're flying and everything's fine. A little bit then in the middle part we can see the sinful angel that turns into this demon, into this snake, and the closer to the viewer, the lower part, you can see the plot of the fall from heaven. On the central leaf, this is the depiction. This is the plot of this proverb that I told you. So we can see the hay wagon, and a lot of people are and everything. We can see this chaos going on. So all of the people here, they are the depiction of, the personification of sin, of greed, of cruelty, and well, etc. Well, basically all of your negative traits. But we can see that from above, Jesus, who is looking at all of this, and we can see, and he's he showed like this. This is called the gesture. This gesture is like oranta, which is basically mean that he's praying. We can see that like Mary is always depicted like this in our I'm Catholic, but in Orthodox churches you can see a lot that Mary is depicted like that in this type of gesture. So this is the gesture of praying, as I said, and also we can see that Jesus is looking at all of the things that's going on earth, and he's probably also shocked. This huge cart with hay is, as we can see, is slowly heading to the next doors, we can say, to the hell. And from above, and sitting on this haystack, we can see several figures of people. This is the young man with young women, young musician, and we can see that on one part of one hand behind the guy there is an angel also praying on his knees. On the other side is a devil or some kind of demon, and this group is interpreted as an allegory of the choice. That means that whether you will follow the good, you will follow the angel, or you will follow the bad, you will follow the evil, the demon. Behind the cart, as we can see, so on our left side, there is a whole procession consisting of the Pope. So, and researchers identified this Pope as Pope Alexander the Sixth. Behind him is some bishops, kings, and well, etc. Some rich people. In front of them, this just a bunch of peasants, bunch of poor people, and people like poor people. We can see that they rush at the cart from the side, and they get under the wheels. They are getting killed. They're getting injured, and all this stuff. And what is most important, no one is trying to stop it. No one is trying to help anyone. In the foreground, in the lower right corner, we can see a clergy who he's sitting, I think, drinking something, and the nuns, the women, they are stacking this hay into the sacks. Next to them we can see charlatan doctor, who is who actually, this is also a pretty famous image, pretty famous character in the BOSCH paintings, and just overall there was also a pretty popular character back then in the time, which is again, you see, again, to support my point that we don't really understand a lot of works because we are not familiar with the previous cultures. There's a lot of things are forgetting, a lot of things are getting out of hand, out of touch, whatever. And yeah, this is one of the things also that you see, right now we don't really know this type of characters, but back then it was a very popular character and people understood who is that and what is that. And other people, we can see just overall some clowns and etc. Still, BOSCH, he did not depict that everyone is like that. We can see near the hay on the left side, this little family. We can see a man who is sleeping at the feet of a woman, and she is holding a child in her arms, and well, considering how she is folding her hands, she's praying. So so this is like this maybe little also idea that, well, obviously there is still good people on earth. Everything is ending with the subject of hell. This thing I think is a little bit more dynamic than the previous work, because we can really clearly see how this haystack is moving, quite literally moving to the hell, because like some characters that are near the next sack here, they're already starting to turn into this very strange creepy creatures. We can see some kind of, I don't know, what is that, like fish with human legs, some little demons and all this stuff, and we can see that they're really going into the hell. This hell is depicted and shown very vividly, maybe not so vividly as in previous work, but still. And as I said in previous work, he is one boss. He's one of the first people, one of the first masters to show hell in the form of a night fire in the city. So we can see clearly on the in depth there in this composition. In addition, the iconography of the demons is pretty complicated, because we can see that those are not just this strange creature that we now used to. Those are some mixtures of human beings with some animals, with some birds, with some plants, etc., etc. So another piece of art that was mostly, some interpretation of modern texts, of modern proverbs, of modern culture, modern to him. And we can obviously say that those works, they were not like the complete illustration of the text that he read, but that was just, well, basically interpretation of what he knew, of what he was familiar with, and all of this, all of this knowledge, all of this thing, he was just putting through the prism of his own vision, of his own fantasy. And I think this is actually the key to success of his. And this is, he was a very knowledgeable, intelligent person that, this with this incredible imagination and he found this mixture in him that, oh well, I can read this, interpret it like that, and I will have this type of art. I hope that you got the idea that, well, everything not is so like mystical as a lot of people like to actually tell about BOSCH. So again, for the fourth time in this video, he was just a very intelligent guy that knew what he was doing, that had a very good fantasy, and well, this is the key secret, I think, that led him to become very popular and successful. Because, well, as I mentioned already, he lost his popularity like in the next centuries, because the culture was moving, obviously, the world was moving, and when people started some of the texts you see that we can think that he was using, they do not exist already. Just basically, we just know that by some archives or something like that there was this text back then that described like certain things, well, there was some mystical text, alchemical text, some religious text, and they were describing some kind of things like this and that, and researchers are sitting and being like, oh well, okay, 2 + 2 = 4 here, so most probably that he was familiar with this text and he was using this text. So so you see, so this is also the why it's hard to understand him, and not just for us, obviously, but for just basically people from the next century, or from BOSCH also was so hard. And as I said, some of even his contemporaries were not very they didn't very understand what is going on. So it is all for today. I just wanted to show you this to work. He is not my I can say that he is my favorite artist, or that I very like him, admire him. He is strange for me also. I don't really like this type of art, but just just overall the ideas, and just overall knowing like how he worked and all this stuff, it's very interesting. And well, this is maybe for me, this is the thing that makes me admire him. As usually, the most important thing for me here is that you found out something new for yourself, something interesting for yourself, and wish you good day, good evening. By tradition, if you stumbled upon this video in the middle of the night, this is your sign to go to sleep. And yeah, I very hope to see you on the next video, and well, again, wish you all the best and see you. Bye bye.